Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are live. We are with Daisy. We are on Digital Summer and Summit 2021. Today's conversation is about DeFi and NFT. And this is the second panel with so many distinguished people and so many distinguished person and impressive of them on this panel discussion. But first of all, I want to invite them on stage. Here we are with Jeremy Roma, with Alex Melnichuk, with Felix Mango, with Joel Dykes. And today's topic is going to be about what are the most significant changes that we can expect to see in next era of real world of blockchain. I would like to start my conversation with Joel Dykes. We know each other, but people don't know you personally. Introduce yourself in a brief words and what your expectation of this market.
Sure, yeah, I'm a fellow at MIT. I work on the research of sort of smart city data architecture and the evolution of system design, but I was involved in Ethereum sort of at day one. I started MetaMask at DevCon 0, and I've been involved in other projects like Swarm Fund, which I co-founded, which is the first sort of real asset tokenization platform dating back to kind of 2014 era. And I think just to lead into kind of expectations, I mean, I think we've been at the tipping point for a while, and it's a bit hard to know exactly when it will come in. But the actual onboarding of real world assets to be managed by blockchain ledger systems and blockchain governance systems, I think is something that people have seen coming for a long time. And we're actually at an amazing moment where within the last 24 hours, the Profi platform did the first real estate NFT, other things are happening. So I think we're going to see that really start to pick up in the next year, and I couldn't be more excited.
Thank you, Joel. Felix Mago with us. Your turn.
Hi, thanks for having me. I just had the pleasure to talk already. Pleasure to be here with you guys and discuss this hot topic. Felix is my name, co-founder of Dash Next. Basically, we are running all the operations for Dash here in Asia, business development, partnerships, marketing, essentially driving the dream of having crypto everywhere and being able to pay everywhere with crypto. And of course, now lots of stuff happening in DeFi. We with Dash want to be there, building bridges, building assets, cooperating with lots of teams right now. So very happy, to see all that. My perspective is that DeFi or DeFi has changed a lot in the blockchain space. Suddenly we see a lot of products coming out. It's completely different than 2017 when it was all just dreams. Now it's there, stuff is happening. I honestly cannot keep up. I'm hesitant to do predictions in DeFi because next month, what do I know what's going to happen and what's going to be out already? There's a lot of stuff happening the way I see it. There's especially the first step is to bring all the financial products we know now into a decentralized space. And again, that's happening in ridiculous speed right now. So happy to be here and discuss more.
Thank you, Felix. Jeremy, your turn.
Awesome, man. Wow, incredible to be here with both of you guys. First of all, Felix and Joel, and pioneers of this whole industry and space. So thank you guys for everything you've done to lay such incredible groundwork. And none of this would be here today if it wasn't for platforms like MetaMask. You guys changed the game, and the OGs of the world like Dash. And so it's an honor to be here with you guys. I come from a traditional business background. Have been in the peer-to-peer space for the last 20 years, and really just excited about what the worlds that are opening up right now. I think that there's a huge a moment of bridging happening where great leaders and innovators in the business world are locking arms with great technology developers and creating and solving problems that are in the world today. I just, as I said earlier today, when Alex and I spoke, I just believe that without transparency, you have control and manipulation. And we've seen so many systems in our world today that deprive people of the facts, right? And we used to say that, character is who you are when nobody's looking. But blockchain has really changed the game because character is who you are when everybody is looking. And it's a beautiful opportunity, I think, for a whole nother level of business and leadership, whether it's socially or economically. We just really pumped about the future of what we're all in front of right now.
Alex, yes, your turn.
Hey, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really honored and nervous due to this power presence. So I'm tech lead with the Daisy guys doing Daisy Launchpad. I also have a small development company called Fragma that's loaded with projects right now due to DeFi boom. When it comes to, it's an interesting question, like what shall we expect? And I perhaps say something like a huge shift, because we have a lot of competitors coming up for the big ETH guy. Like everyone's trying to chew at it with layer 1s, layer 2s, Solanas, Cardanos, and it's getting hot, getting interesting.
You know, guys, in 2016, when Ethereum comes up, no one even knows that that kind of ICO market can boom in 2017, crash it down, I don't know, do our lovely Bitcoin, something happening, oh, I don't know, with the wells. But nowadays, looks like something like IDOs, it's decentralized or the digital one, I don't know, real, just up to you. But what I see and what I hear, so many Launchpad coming out, so many platforms, so many blockchains coming out. It looks like this market is not growing, is exposing, is really get advanced market. What do you think about it? IDO has the future, or is it should be something already happened? ICO done, IDO pass. I would like to see, to hear Jeremy. He's ready to explain to us.
Well, I think part of, and I think we should never lose sight of this, that part of the fascination of the entire energy around this decentralized movement is we don't get to control what it's going to be. We get to embrace it and be a part of it, right? Like it really continues to take on a life of its own. And it's, for me, that's the most fascinating part is this organic evolution. It's, we don't know what it is yet, right? And so there's certainly, some major shifts that are taking place. I think that, one thing we're going to see in the space as people have become more and more educated, as transparency continues to be accessible, is we're going to see solid projects, less and less and less of the shit projects, and more solid technologies. I think we're going to see less of the overnight success stories. And it's going to be a lot more about putting your roots into the technology and into the emerging platforms and market space long term. And I think we're going to see a big shift happening this year in that way. We're going to really see who's got the roots in the future of this space. And I think it's going to be less about quantity as far as platforms, and more about quality. And then we're going to see a real movement, I think, of projects. I think that now that we're laying some solid foundations of platforms, I think we're going to really see the evolution of projects on those platforms. The high-rise buildings are being built, and now it's time for the office spaces to be leased out by very innovative projects.
Joel, I have seen your presentation very carefully, and you have so huge research of market. I think you have to say us where is the real, what's the next step, where we are going as industry.
Well, we've seen a lot of institutional DeFi projects be built over the last couple of years, and I think that both that and if you look at just entertainment industry, for example, there's once you start being able to look at revenue streams attached to different art pieces, different audio visual things, the way some of the stuff works right now with licensing, but you can start to create financial instruments on top of that, whether it's derivatives markets or, other things like that. You're really starting to really see many traditional industry sectors really become, much more complex, but also kind of fruitful, and then empowering the kind of creators and everything else. So I think there's just going to be a massive amount of wealth generation around these topics as the tooling comes in and as the institutional onboarding ramps up.
Thank you, Joel. Felix, I feel that everyone looks for money, but no one get engaged in digital one. I don't know what's happened. Everyone looks for that. All of them say that, looks at this market. This is digital one. This is newbie. No. We get excited. Just give us a one click where to click to do all our lives happen. looks like this world never be happen, but what's your feel? Where do we go?
Interesting that you say that. I mean, it really depends where you are. This is one thing, especially when it comes to money and payment and the feeling for it. I mean, if you're here in Asia, you're most likely very used to pay with QR codes everywhere you go. If you're in Europe, or especially in Germany, you will use cash. If you're in the States, probably you will use cards. So it's really a different thing. But what I see now is more integrated solution. Also, not only on the consumer side, but also on the payment side, on the services side. We see more and more like POS systems where basically everything is integrated, and it's just a matter of a click if you want to accept the WeChat payment, a Dash payment, a Visa card payment, or whatever, and it's like kind of an integrated terminal. So, I mean, that's the thing of making it happen. The other side is, of course, the users. I mean, the thing with crypto users, and shame on you, every time, crypto is too high, you don't want to spend it, and every time crypto is too low, you don't like to spend it. So I guess that has to change. And the way that also changes is everybody's earning crypto, then of course you have to spend it because you have to survive from it. So this is one good thing I see happening right now in the space. And this is beyond all the financial products and beyond all this APR hunting stuff, which then even comes to another level. And my feeling is right now more and more people understand it, and even especially in that market that kind of does not give you yield anywhere in traditional financial products, more and more people are coming over and seeing it and see what's happening. And we discussed quickly before, there's easy ways to do it, and there's more sophisticated, really crazy stuff with leveraged yield farming and all these crazy things we're seeing coming out.
Thank you. Alex, I'm sure you have something to add, because all of the people around are trying to find that significant changes, but looks like there are so many that you have to point out just one or two for the first jumping in to understand what's happening. Alex.
Okay, well, first I wanted to kind of disagree with Felix. I'm no way spending my valuable crypto. We're all having these diamond hands here. So no, you won't get it from me. When it comes to major changes, there's a lot. First, we're seeing corporations, like we're seeing projects like was it Baseline Protocol with Ernst & Young and Microsoft. Like, can you imagine this thing? Even this sentence. Crypto, Ethereum, Microsoft, Ernst & Young being in one sentence like in 2017. That's one of the hugest changes. Second, we're seeing people stopping playing with the perhaps usual Solidity stuff. They're becoming more confident with offloading parts of the work on the Oracle side, server, on more computation-heavy blockchains. We're seeing that across multiple projects, like when Yon Finance and Mr. Andrei Cronier does offloads, you kind of like, whoa, that's strong.
Okay, cool. Joel, I would like to direct my next question to you. You are you are from corporate world, because I'm coming to crypto from the corporate world. I'm working a little bit more from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, for a little bit Microsoft. But now I would like to know, does that corporates, which are clearly see and they are really creates application for all that application industry. I'm talking about Apple, about Microsoft, about Hewlett-Packard, about IBM as well. They are fully engaged in this industry, and we are also so many times worse for them. What's about their perspective up to you? What do they expect of this market, and what kind of preferable things they are going to spread to the huge communities, to the governments, to the corporates? I think their perspective also so thankful and so valuable for us.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides of corporates, so in the early phase of adoption, everyone wanted to have private blockchains and basically just something you control, whether through consortium or whatever else. And given that the original idea of blockchains was to be something that was not censorable, not controllable, was a little bit, basically made no sense. And most of those projects have died off kind of slowly and painfully as a result. But at some level, corporations are really just about making money, so they'll do whatever is good for their bottom line. And so, like I was saying with the entertainment industry, when we see this kind of flow start to happen through the NFT world and the kind of automation and additional financial assets, I mean, everyone's going to adopt it, who wants to be competitive in this new world. And they aren't necessarily going to have, a choice either because it's going to be their bottom line. So I think we're just going to see maybe not them, a little bit less of corporates like building their own blockchains, which, like I said, is pointless, but a lot more about them building significant, solutions on top of an existing blockchain infrastructure.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about real world. Looks like new DeFi market is the same story or is the same models which are somehow digitalized or tokenized and bringing to be the new market where there is no intermediaries, but the real governor is the code. What do you think about that? Is it reliable model for the humanity that code should be the judge our relationship between each other? You as coder should know about that. And who's auditors? Joe, yes, that question is to you because you are on the beginning when MetaMask comes up, when Ethereum comes up, and that question, it should be up in your minds as the developers.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bit of a trade-off between, speed of development and security. And so I think, just in general, I'm a fan of, moving fast and breaking things and building things that are, test subjects for a particular area. Because it takes a while to get the system dynamics right anyways. And, obviously the blockchain world has a lot of hype cycles. So the DAO, back in the day was a huge hype thing around a particular business model. No one's actually really rebuilt that business model. So it's kind of interesting, but maybe it worked, maybe it doesn't. And then, being able to now, I mean, the great thing about this space as it's evolved is that there's, hundreds of, smart contract auditing capabilities. I work a lot with Hacken, which has a very good reputation in the space. And, there's just a lot of possibilities basically for people to build stuff that is, secure kind of from the get-go. But yeah, the things I mentioned before, the kind of auditability, doing things open source, basically giving bug bounties, I think they're core parts of any development cycle at this point for any significant scale project.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. I would like to hear you, Hacken also from the Ukraine. You get proud of this country, say that so many interesting developers come from there. I agree with you.
Yeah, well, it was actually Hacken that introduced us to Alex last year. So that was where that connection was made. We told him exactly what who we were looking for, and he said, "I know the person." So yeah, we have a lot of respect for that. But no, I do. I think that we're going to see. I don't think it's one or the other, but I think we're going to see definitely a hybrid. I mean, let's be honest about the conversation. We don't want. I don't think the mission of decentralized economics is for lack of better words, a hippie world of just, everyday people making the big decisions. There's a value. There's a reason why the average person is not making big decisions around companies, and there needs to be core groups of leaders and think tanks and collective genius that are innovating and making certain decisions. I really think that it's the transparency that brings those two worlds together. And it's not that the masses want to control projects. It's that the masses want to have transparency around those. And I believe that the masses are willing to trust code when there's full transparency and when there's full transparency in the teams behind it. I'm in love with what DeFi is getting ready to do in this world today, because I think because there's been this lack of transparency in traditional finance, it's the corporations that have kept the lion's share, passing the crumbs along to the people, right? We can go as basic as a savings account with a 1% a year interest, while banks are using massive leverage on the back end against that money. And, now being able to take any ecosystem that has profits and be able to pass rewards and pass that onto the community, I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely the future of, I think, any, not just financial ecosystems, but any ecosystem that creates profits, if it's supported by a community in a decentralized way, and those profits go from, we're working on a project right now with a decentralized app store, for example. It's going to be something that we'll be doing through our Launchpad. And I love the idea that the 30% that Apple gets, the 30% that Google gets, the concept of creating a decentralized operating system, an app store on the blockchain, and the users get to participate in that 30% yield, right? And there's so many different scenarios where this can be applied, you know, the online marketplace, and the list just goes on and on. Anytime you have an ecosystem, once you offer transparency to the community, then you almost have this commitment that says, what are you worth as a community, as a member, as a user of this app or this platform, whatever, what are you worth to us? And it's no longer 1% a year, right? And I think that's just a disruptive entry into the corporate world, and it's a big shift for them. The good thing is that the corporate world has now realized that transparency and decentralization doesn't destroy you. And I think there's a big fear in the beginning that they would lose their identity, they would lose, you know, whatever. And the truth is they can multiply their energy in the market by incorporating decentralization, even if it's in a hybrid way, right? I don't expect major corporations will become fully decentralized, but implementing elements of decentralization where it touches the people, this is going to be big.
You know, guys, what I feel this year, previous one, or decentralization looks like driven to the smart people. I don't know how it like. No one knows how it works. No one, believe me. But everyone talking about that. What do you feel? Decentralization is the key for our communication or relationship, for our relationship yet? Or is the somehow the opposite of centralization? We get so tired. That's why we are trying to jump to another space. Felix, what's your thought about that?
Well, it's a great question, and Jeremy actually just put it very, very beautifully. You know, it's about products. It's about people. Maybe if you allow me, let me elaborate a little bit on the people part, because at the end of the day, you know, we are talking about all autonomous systems and everything is decentralized, and you know, somewhere there's this magic internet machine called Ethereum or called whatever other blockchain that is, you know, magically making everything happen. That's not the case. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people involved, and even if you look into the details and the nitty-gritty of all these DeFi protocols, there is a lot of work to be done and continuously work to be done. Just take, you know, yield maximizer, for example. You know, that's, you could describe it as a machine that is pooling money to maximize yield for all its users. But, you know, this is a kind of a living organism, and people have to change it. You know, pools die, new pools come up. So, you know, there has to be stuff is to be done. And that doesn't only go for the tech, but it goes for every part of the business you run, right? So it's not only about cool products, it's being able to execute on cool products in really in a operational way. And then lastly, to get people excited, which is, you know, which also doesn't come just because the tech is beautiful, but let's be honest, you know, there's a lot of noise out there right now. So you also have to make good marketing. And, you know, that said, I mean, you know, it's just not enough to say decentralization. It's really about, you know, the specific products, companies, value streams, and profit sharing models. And I think that's something that is really taking off, that people come up with business models that just make more sense because you incentivize other people to have a share on it. You know, take Uniswap where people get fees. It just makes sense. So, you know, there's such and such products, and some of them just make a lot of sense.
Sure. Alex, what do you feel? Looks like community, decentralization, trying to bring us to do something, but to be frank, just few people really creating and doing something valuable on this earth. And as programmer, you are understanding that this new world, this blockchain industry arises by the hands of developers, and they are, in my perspective, should be responsible for their doings. That's why Oracle arise, that's why auditors so many. What do you feel? It should be done by community, or should be done by a not competitors, the people which are get knowledge about that very fully?
I think it's about working together, right? Usually when developer blindly does something, it may end up with something amazing and cool, right? Sometimes it's just a cool thing that no one needs really, right? So it's about just I want to join the thoughts about hippie being together that Jeremy mentioned. It really is about being together. It really is about sharing idea. Like you buy into idea. Every programmer can do PHP website if they want to, but you do this specific thing because you believe in it. Right? And you believe in the same transparency as each and every of us, right? Because we all deep in our minds think like, hey, 5 years from now, banks have no choice but to adapt this transparency as a competitive advantage, for example. That might be the world we live in. And that's what we're all strive to build, and we're going to build it.
Sure, absolutely. Guys, we have just, 7 or 8 minutes left, but I would like to hear from you the message to the community. Maybe you have to say something for the people. There are so many people who are watching for us now, and you are, as influencers, have the chance and voice to be heard. Jeremy, maybe we can start from you.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think that we have a responsibility. Any of us who believe in the blockchain space, we have a responsibility to the world around us and to educate, to promote, to participate. And so my message to, first of all, to every one of you that are attending this event, first of all, congratulations and thank you, because it's because of the people, and it's because of the community, and it's because of so many voices and contributors around the world to participation in this space that it continues to grow and it continues to expand. And I think we all agree that we're in the infancy stages still, in the early stages of evolution of decentralization. And the tipping point, the word was mentioned earlier, and that's going to be something that we witness in the very near future. And it's because of the people, because of the community engagement around everything blockchain. So I want to say to the community, first of all, thank you. Every listener, thank you. And we've got a big job ahead of us. And it's going to be exciting to see digital currency, to see blockchain really take its place in the real world, in the mainstream world. Because at the end of the day, we don't just want a big, giant experiment. At the end of the day, what we want is many experiments that produce results that make the world a better place, that make systems better, that make governments better, that make social realities better, that make economics better. And I think that's where we're coming from. We're coming from the great experience into the great reality. And that's going to be the next move of digital currency.
Thank you. Joel, your message to our community, to our viewers.
I thought Jeremy said it extremely well. It's a global community that's being built, and what we built, is really, for the world. And I think there's a lot of things that have not been solved yet. As I was talking about, I'm extremely excited about empowering creators for the purpose behind Art Wallet, and really streamlining the process so that fans can enjoy, but also support the people who created the content in the most, streamlined and abundant way possible. And we've seen a huge flourishing of sort of NFT art in certain areas, but I think there's so much more to be built and expanded upon, and there's room for roles in many different areas. So there's, obviously the engineers, and then there's the people who are curating, and there's the people who are recruiting, and there's people who are spreading the message, and there's people who are just, generally enthusiastic and supportive. And, we're, doing this together. So it's not just, me in front of the screen, it's you two and everyone who's tuning in and everyone who's on the stage. So, and yeah, thanks to all my other sort of fellow speakers and you, Sergey.
Thank you, Felix.
I've never seen anybody who's working in blockchain who's complaining about their job. So that's the positive thing. I think we are all super hyped in what we do. We love so much what we do. In fact, nobody's sleeping. Everybody is watching another podcast while they go in the gym. This is kind of my feeling. So this is amazing. But to all you people out there who, want to know more, who want to do more, who want to go more into DeFi, just sit down, take some time. Don't be scared. It's just a couple of YouTube videos away that you can be part of it, and there is so much opportunity. It's really much more about the passion, and everybody who really wants to dig in can become a user, can become an investor, or can become somebody who's working in the blockchain industry. And, you know, especially in sometimes hard times around the world, you know, there's a lot of growth in that area. So take some time, dig into it. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you. Alex, maybe you want to add something?
Yep, I think crypto community right now is conquering mainstream, and we're seeing almost like a whole new continent being discovered, or like a first plane flight. And the fact that we are openly talking about our cool projects right now with all of this huge community following is just amazing. And I wanted to say huge thanks for the support and for the excitement that you always give us.
Thank you, Alex. You're jumping to the right place. I am personally creating this decentralized world, decentralized media, decentralized television, each and every day coming out to the scene, talking with the people, bringing them together. I'm really happy to see all of you. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your knowledge and sharing to our community. We have to jump on another speaker. He's already with us, but I want to say you goodbye and see you very soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sergey.